The MCU has been suffering a lot of backlash lately, and not even just this year. Eternals was the third film in the MCU Phase 4 lineup, and really the beginning of a small decline in reception for the MCU. While I love this movie, it was the MCU's first rotten review on Rotten Tomatoes, and it seems as if it hasn't been able to recover from this. The MCU's most recent show, Secret Invasion, was cooked online by both critics and fans, with the last episode sitting at an abysmal 7%. 7%, guys, 7%. Think about that. That is so low. Far lower than any other MCU project, and I don't think any other MCU projects will reach that low. But now we are merely a day away from what everybody has been waiting for, Loki Season 2. Season 1 was well received, with many calling it better than WandaVision. I disagree. And whether or not you can agree with that statement, I believe the majority of us can at least say Loki Season 2 was at least top 3 MCU shows, especially if we're talking about the MCU Disney Plus shows. And clearly, Marvel believed in it as well, seeing as it's the first show to get a second season and potentially one of the only. But enough of that blabbing. I know you came to this video to get an answer to that question. Is Loki Season 2 the win the MCU needed so much? Well, let's talk about it. Loki Season 2 picks right back up after the events of Season 1. The timelines are in disarray after Sylvie killed He Who Remains, and the timeline is split into many different branches. So many that most of them can't even be contained, y'all. It is a mess. Mobius, B-15, and others don't know who Loki is after the madness with He Who Remains. Loki then figures out that he's been time slipping, which is him being pulled through time, past and present. Eventually, Loki slips into the right timeline where Mobius and the TVA knows him. They meet Ke Huy Quan's character, OB, and they must work together with Sylvie, B-15, and the rest of the TVA to save the TVA and timelines from utter destruction. Through their adventures, they bump into another variant of Kang, while traveling through multiple points in time in order to save the TVA and the timelines as we know them. Let's talk about Loki Season 2 and what it did right, starting with the cast and the acting. Tom Hiddleston is back as Loki, and he does a fantastic job with this character. You can tell he's so into the character of Loki now, and he's done a masterful job embodying a new take on the God of Mischief, a more heroic one. And Owen Wilson is as great as ever too. As Mobius, he really does a great job, and while I can't dive into spoiler territory, I love his and Loki's interactions throughout the season. The dynamic feels like two besties who've known each other for a while now. It really works. The two of them bounce off of each other incredibly well, and they are so fun to watch together. Sophia Di Martino returns as Sylvie, and the tension is real between the Lokis this season. And I'm not talking romantically. And Ke Huy Quan instantly lights up a room. As OB, he's charming and positive and has such a great presence in every role he's in. He's so charismatic. I love this guy. Wunmi Mosaku really needs more roles too, because she is so charismatic and convincing as B-15, really touching on the lack of humanity going on with the pruning with the timelines and actually having sympathy for the lives that could be lost. And quick disclaimer, I don't condone any actions, but Jonathan Majors is a force, completely transformative as his character and involvement in this season. The man can act, I'll give him that. The acting all around in this season is fantastic, and the Loki series really knows how to impress on that front. So let's touch on the score and the cinematography. Natalie Holt is a brilliant force who created such a cerebral, orchestral, moody score. It really sinks you into this vortex of time-warping oddness that sets the mood, and honestly is one of the best scores in the MCU as we know it. Yes, I said it, one of the best scores in the MCU.
Finger licking good special.
I'm upset we won't get to hear her Batgirl score. I can only imagine how incredible that would have sounded, seeing Barbara Gordon hit the streets of Gotham and take on crime with that amazing score from Natalie Holt. Gosh, I hope someday it sees the light of day. But back to Marvel, the cinematography is incredible, and it feels so playful with the angles and how it spotlights the set design so well. And it's so much fun with these quick pans and well-timed zooms. It was a joy to watch as they put you in this time-warpy mood. The technicals of this show, you guys, so good, even down to the green color palette and green pattern sets. Very visually pleasing. Lastly, with the good, I want to touch on some of the shock value in this show this season. There's some dark moments this season, y'all. I'm telling you, there's some bodies, and that's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to spoil, but there are some references to death, and it gets real dark. It is unpredictable with a sense of no control. There are these narrative questions of free will with the TVA this season, diving into the morality of the organization and the situation going on with He Who Remains. But this wouldn't be a review video without touching on some of the things that didn't quite work with this season of Loki, and honestly, I believe season 2 makes some of the same mistakes that I thought for season 1. The first few episodes I was not that big a fan of. I believe, unfortunately, there's a pacing struggle in the first few. There's a lot of exposition dumping going on where characters have to explain and spoon feed us all these new concepts where it comes to time traveling, and sometimes it eats up quite a bit of time with the explaining. And while I love these concepts of morality, loss of control, and so much more, sometimes the episodes kind of meander a bit, especially that front half. But that's just my opinion. It just gets off to a slow start, but once it ramps up, it ramps up. And many surprises and twists happen that I will admit I did not see coming. Also, y'all, don't go complaining about McDonald's. I know it seems super product placement-y, but there is a very good purpose as to why McDonald's is included in this season, and I think it makes sense after it's executed pretty well in this season. So, is Loki Season 2 the win the MCU needed? I believe it'll be a win. I think those who love Loki Season 1 are going to love Season 2, and that's a lot of people that loved Season 1, including myself, especially after those first 3 episodes. I was all on board for Loki. Personally, I really like this season. Though it was off to a slow start with some laggy pacing here and there, it really delivered on acting, score, cinematography, and thematic elements. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Are you excited for Loki Season 2? Do you think it'll be better than Season 1? And if you're back after Episode 1, let me know what you thought. If you're new, hit that subscribe button down below, and we will see you next time on Geekly Goods.